just completely flabbergasted. How could you do this to me? Whoever sent this to me, you are on the naughty list. Hello and welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel, and today is the first video in my Advent series. I am so excited for this. I had you guys send me yarn to try out every day leading up to Christmas, and today is the first day. So before we dive into opening up the first package, let me do a little bit of explaining of how this process is going to work. But before all of that, I do have to say that Santa came a little bit early this year and brought me a camera. I'm so excited to be filming on a real life camera instead of my phone. And I hope that it can provide a little bit more quality video for you guys. So that is exciting news. But just to explain the concept and how I'm structuring this series is instead of making 24 separate videos, I am combining them into week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. That just makes a little bit more sense to my brain to be able to edit it in that way. That does mean that the last video is going to be after Christmas, but hopefully you guys don't mind that too much. Another thing that I need to acknowledge is that as these packages were coming in, I noticed that just by the weight alone, most of them had more than one skein of yarn. And I wasn't sure how many skeins of yarn were in each package and how many days of Advent they were going to take up. And I didn't want to spoil the surprise for myself. So I had my daughter go through them and count how many skeins were in each package. And then she labeled for me on the outside how many days of Advent that would take up. The problem is you guys definitely sent more than just 24 skeins of yarn. And so on some of these days, I will be just opening one, and on other days, I'll be opening more than one. We're just gonna kind of roll with the punches and see how this goes. Now to explain what I will be making with this yarn. You guys know that I really love making full projects with the yarn that I try out in my videos. However, with there being 24 or over 24, as I already acknowledged, I don't know that I will feasibly be able to make full projects with each skein. And so instead, I thought I would make a granny square or some type of square with each yarn. And then perhaps at the end, we will be able to combine some of them into a bigger project, which I don't know what that would be until we get into it, since this is all a big surprise to me. So that is enough yapping, I think, for today. Let's go ahead and get into the first package. Okay, guys, it is actually Rachel from the future here, because as I was editing this video, I was moving some files around and accidentally deleted a bunch of them, and I was able to recover everything except for day 1. And so I apologize for that. I feel absolutely terrible. I will say it is maybe a blessing in disguise, because I was having some issues with my new camera, which you will hear me reference in the next clip. But I feel bad, especially to the person who sent me this lovely yarn, that you don't get to see my genuine first impressions of it. But the show must go on, and I am just going to tell you about this yarn that they sent, which was this Lana Cotton 212, which I explained in this clip that I had my daughter, as she was going through and labeling the yarns, that even if it was the same yarn but in different colors or in multiple quantities, she still labeled that as a 1. So I actually got 2 of each of these colors, so 6 skeins total of this yarn. And this is a 50% superwash merino and a 50% cotton, and it's called 212 or 212 because there is 212 meters in this. And I don't think I actually ever found out exactly what weight this is. I think it's probably a weight 1 if I had to guess. And they said in their note that they love this for wearables and that they will sometimes use it on its own and then sometimes use it doubled up. And I will say that I was quite nervous going in, thinking that this might be a little bit difficult for me, first of all, because I'm not very used to working with thinner yarns. And also I was afraid that I was going to split But I'm so happy to say that it was actually so easy to work with and did not split, and it looks amazing. I will say that the skein feels really soft, and that softness translates over to the finished granny square. I know this is quite tiny. I decided to do 4 rounds each for my granny squares in this video, although you'll see as we go along that some of these I was not able to make granny squares with. We'll get there. But I absolutely love this. It is so, so beautiful. The texture is just amazing. I believe I compared this in the clip that got deleted, that I compared this to the yarn that was in my Hobie mystery box. I don't remember what that one is called, but it's like a bamboo cotton. That one, I was also nervous about it splitting, and it really didn't split too bad for me at all. And this one is even easier to work with and has an even better texture. I feel like this would be the perfect like spring, summer wearable yarn. That's probably what I will save all of this lovely yarn for, is to make something like that. Although I am always taking all of your project suggestions with this yarn. And so that is day one. I again apologize to the person who sent me this because they also included the sweetest note. Thank you so much for this yarn. And we're going to move on to day 2. And something else that I wanted to mention is that because these videos are an hour long and I have 4 of them to make this month, and I'm making my normal Sunday content as well, these videos probably won't be as edited as I normally do in terms of like popping stuff up on the screen and all of that. So I apologize for that, but I will try to link all of these yarns down below. If I do forget, just remind me. But this really was a great start to my Advent series, and I did not mean to match this yarn today. I'm just realizing this color of blue is one of my favorites, this like cornflower blue. Beautiful. So that is day 1. And thankfully, like I said, this was the only day that got messed up, so the rest will be normal. So I'll see you on day 2. Welcome to day 2. I am hoping that this both looks and sounds better than yesterday. I apologize. Please bear with me as I'm getting used to this camera. But I did not realize that there is a skin softening feature that is automatically on. You have to go in and turn it off. But I was looking through my clips from yesterday and I was like, I don't know whose skin that is, but it is not mine. So I turned that feature off and adjusted some settings. So hopefully it is good, but it is time to open another package. And I picked this one up, which again, I'm not trying to dox anyone, but I picked this one up because it has 2 in there already. And then it tells me to open this one first and this one second. So I think we'll go ahead and do this one because like I said, some days I will be opening just one. Some days it'll be more than one. So let's go ahead and dive in. I might need scissors for this one. Yeah, I'm gonna need scissors. Okay, opening the first one first. Let's see what it is. Okay. Ooh, this looks nice. So this is 2 skeins in 2 different colors here of Hobie Portobello. So I have this green shade here and this blue shade here. We'll get a closer look at these in a minute, but these are really nice. It's like a blown, I think that's what you call that, like the blown texture, which I've been loving lately. So we have those, and then let's go ahead and open the second one. Okay, there is a lot in here. Let me get it all out. It is the same yarn, but you gave me so many skeins of it. And it's funny because this is a drops yarn, which is Drops Bell. And I have been thinking about doing an entire video exploring drops because I've never tried any of their yarns before, but I'm glad I waited because this is going to be my first impressions of this yarn. So let me move the camera around and we'll get a closer look and get all the specs and everything for these yarns. So before we talk about these yarns, in my haste of opening these and being so excited, I missed the note, and I also missed this sticker right here, which is the Kevin Yee merch, the Crow Slay All Day, and I love him. I follow him on Instagram. He's so funny. So I absolutely love this sticker. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I love stickers, but I always struggle to know where to put them. So I'll have to figure something out, but thank you so much for the sticker. It's so cute. And in their note, they said that they got this yarn right here in a Hobie mystery bundle and that they like the yarn, but these aren't colors that they would normally use. But I love these colors. Of course, I love most colors. I'm not very picky when it comes to colors. Well, that's not exactly true. I can be picky when it comes to what color range yarn comes in, but I like almost all colors. And these actually kind of feel maybe a little Christmassy, kind of, sort of. So this is Portobello, which it says is 60% cotton, 28% acrylic, and 12% wool. So this is kind of similar to the yarn that I made the sweater. I think that was the sweater I was wearing yesterday that is made in the loops and threads. What is that one called? The heathered tweed. That's what it's called. I really liked that yarn and the texture. It is not the most fun to frog, I will say that. But this one feels a little less halo-y, like it doesn't have a halo on it, but it is a similar makeup of yarn, and this is a weight 4. It has 130 yards per skein, and I don't think we have color names with Hobie yarns, just a number. That is 85. And then this one is 105. I really like this really pretty, like different shades of green color here. I think it's so, so pretty. So let's take a look at the other one, which, as I already mentioned, is Drops Belle. And oh my goodness, they sent me so many skeins of it. They did say that they had got this yarn for a specific project and that it just ended up not working out and they got a different yarn. So I get to try it out today, which I'm so excited about. So this one is, let's see the makeup of this yarn. Does it say? Oh, 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. It does feel like a cotton yarn. It feels pretty soft, but also has, you know, the classic cotton structure. I'm a little bit nervous that this is going to be a splitty one. You guys know that sometimes I struggle with yarns that split, but of course we are going to give it our best shot here. And I do love this kind of almost teal blue kind of color. I think that is gorgeous. So without further ado, we're going to make some granny squares. So I got my 2 granny squares here. We're going to talk about this one first, which, as you can see, I did not finish this one because I wanted to do a frog test. I may not do frog tests for every yarn, but I know with a yarn like this, it can sometimes be hard to frog. So okay. I can't tell if this is not frogging well because of the way that I wove in the end, or if it's because it's snagging. I think I just wove in the end right there and kind of like, that's how I weave in ends, where I kind of catch a little bit of the other yarn so that it stays. And that's exactly what I did right there. So I think that it's actually kind of frogging okay regardless. I'm going to have to fix this and it's going to be maybe a bit of a nightmare, but I will say that it snags like right here. I'm struggling. It's snagging a little bit there, but not too bad. So that's a good sign. Let me fix this really quick and I'll be right back to talk about my thoughts on this. Okay, sorry about that. So I had to cut that piece that I mangled. I was trying to do a frog test and be able to give a good review of this, but of course I didn't think about the fact that the way that I wove in my ends was preventing me from doing a good job at that. So I apologize, but you guys, I really, really like this yarn. Look how pretty it is. I really have fallen in love with this type of yarn over this last year. This type that's, again, I think blown is the right word, but it's like chainette style. Again, these are all words that I really never knew. I really didn't know a lot about yarns, and I still am learning a lot about yarns just because for the majority of my crochet journey, I really use the same types of yarn over and over again. And even if I were to try a new yarn, I would just try it, but I wouldn't know all of the names for it. So you guys have been teaching me a lot about yarns over this last year, or last 2 years, really. So I have fallen in love with this texture of yarn. I said that it reminded me of the heathered tweed, which it still kind of does, especially because the colors have like a little bit of white woven throughout there. But I would say that the way that it is to work with, and even the texture in the end, reminds me a little bit more of the blossom cakes, the Karen blossom cakes, which I also really like that yarn. I've made an entire sweater out of that yarn. I've made a cardigan out of that yarn. And those are both like two of my most worn items because I love the texture so much, but it is just the type of yarn that does want to snag. And I do suspect that this would be similar. My frog test was a little bit of a fail, but also I just finished making this and then tried to frog it. And with those other two yarns, they're kind of similar in that way where might be able to frog them if you frog it right away, but the longer that it sits, the longer it has a chance to kind of meld together, for lack of a better term. And so I do think that this type of yarn can be frustrating for some people because of it snagging. I would definitely recommend doing a pattern that you're a bit more familiar with this type of yarn, just because if you make a mistake, it is a bit hard to frog. But from the little bit of test I did, this one wasn't too bad, so I can't really fully tell you. Hi, Lily. You can't see her, but I'm petting Lily as I talk to you about this yarn. I do really, really like this. I would consider repurchasing this one because with the blossom cakes, while I really like that yarn, it only comes in variegated shades, whereas this one, it's sort of, I was about to say a solid shade. It's sort of a solid shade. I mean, it's green, but it has that little bit of white throughout it. But I do feel like that is the one downside of Karen cakes, that I love a good Karen cake, but almost all of them are variegated. It's hard to find a solid shade. And sometimes for a project you want to work on, you want a solid shade. So I would definitely consider repurchasing this one. It was easy to work with. Love the texture. Speaking of loving the texture, this Drops Bell one, oh my goodness, the texture is immaculate. I absolutely love this so much. And I am shocked, absolutely shocked to be saying that this does not split. I thought for sure when I saw this, because let me grab the yarn here. So can you see that the yarns are really just not wound together very tightly? It's kind of similar to the Lion Brand Kobu yarn, but with that yarn, it split like crazy for me. I mean, every other stitch, I struggled with it. I really wanted to like it because I liked the texture, but I just didn't love working with it enough to ever buy that yarn again. However, I don't know what magic is in this yarn, but it did not split for me. Now, I will say that, let's see if I can find a place here. It's a little bit hard to tell on camera, but maybe you can kind of see in a few places here and there that the yarn, while it didn't split while working with it, it does kind of separate into the strands. Can you see that there? It's not too noticeable once it's all together like this, but there is just a few places here and there where the yarn just kind of like, can you see right there? Just kind of sticks out a little bit. You can see it right there as well. That could bother me. I wonder if maybe moving to a different hook size. So I did just use the hook sizes that the packaging recommended for both of these. This one said to use a 5mm, whereas this one said to use a 4mm. I don't know if possibly going up a hook size or down a hook size or just doing a different stitch would solve some of that problem. But I had the same look to the yarn whenever I worked with the Lion Brand Kobu. And yeah, it's not my favorite look overall. Again, maybe just doing a different stitch, maybe just doing like rows of like half double crochets or something like that would kind of solve that problem, because it's very noticeable since there are the clusters and the gaps. Like it makes that problem a little bit more noticeable when it's a granny square. But I'm just completely flabbergasted that this did not split for me. I expected to have a hard time, and I really didn't. That is absolutely amazing. I have no idea what I'm going to do with all of this lovely yarn. I am going to find projects for all of these, hopefully, but I am open to all of your suggestions because I am going to have a lot of projects that I can make with all of this lovely yarn that you're sending me. I'm feeling very grateful, but yeah, I just love this. The texture is just so nice. Like I said, it's similar to the Kobu. It's not as like slippery, and maybe that is part of it, that the Kobu yarn has like a little bit more of a slipperiness to it, whereas this one, I think because the Kobu one is just bamboo and cotton, I believe, whereas this one does have, you know, the viscose and linen. I don't know the different makeups, if maybe because of that, this one is not, it doesn't include the bamboo, so it's not quite as slippery. Although, is viscose made from bamboo? Again, I'm just outing myself as not really knowing that much about different fibers, but I really, really like this, and I am really excited to work with this again. So that is it for day 2, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 3. Okay, you guys, it is day 3, and hopefully third time's the charm when it comes to the settings on this camera. I apologize. I thank you for bearing with me in all of this. I was about to say this is baby's first camera. It really isn't. I used to have a DSLR back in the day, but that was mainly for still photography. The video element of it is all new to me, but some of that knowledge of manual camera settings has come back to me. So hopefully this both looks and sounds good today. We will see. But enough with the yapping. Let's get to the yarn. I did pick out a package here that was labeled with a 1. And I have actually gotten yarn from this person in the past, so I already know they have good taste in yarn, so let's get to it. So they put it in a nice little tote bag here for me, so let's see. Oh, okay, what is this? It is called Muse. It says it's Aran weight or Aran weight. I don't actually know how to pronounce that. And it is a 100% merino wool from knitpicks/we crochet. So I have one here in this gorgeous greenish blue color, which is actually kind of a similar color to the yarn we got yesterday. And there's one more in here, I think. Yes. Oh my goodness. This is gorgeous as well. So here is the 2 colors together, but let's go ahead and get a closer look at these first before we start working with them. Oh my goodness. Can you see just how gorgeous this color is? It does have just the different tones of the color. And I think I maybe called it green earlier. It's one of those colors I can't actually decide if it's green or blue. I feel like it's coming across a little bit more blue on camera than in person. In person, those green tones show up a little bit more. And then this color right here, I also can't decide what color this is. It kind of looks gray, but it also has like maybe a little tiny bit of a green tone to it, but it is also quite gorgeous. And both of these are so soft and squishy. Being merino wool, I always call merino wool squishy, but it just has that texture that just makes you want to squeeze it. But as I mentioned, this is called Muse. It is, like I said, an Aran weight, which is a weight 4. I usually call things weight 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. instead of by the, name. This is called Serenity Tonal because, like I said, it has those tonal shifts in the color. It comes with 114 yards. And as I mentioned, this comes from knitpicks/we crochet, which is, again, another company that I've never tried yarn from before, but I've thought about exploring. And I don't see any sort of color name on here. It just says Lot E. We'll see what this one says. It also says Lot E. So I don't actually know if the colors are like this number here. I'm not sure. But of course, first, before we crochet with these, I am going to have to roll these up. And usually I put my Swift and yarn winder, if I am using it, here on my desk. But my desk is full of stuff right now. And so I think I will just sit here and work this into a ball. And then we will start crocheting with it, which I am so excited about. Okay, my square is done, and would you look at that? She is gorgeous. I absolutely love this yarn. It is so pretty, and these two colors look so good together. Love it. So this is a single ply yarn. Again, I think that is the right term here. So it is just one strand here. I used to always call this roving, but I don't think that's actually the right term. It is just loosely wound, not woven. Again, all these words that I always mix up, but it is just a single strand here. Now, this, I would say, reminds me the most of the yarn that I tried in the jellyfish video. I'm forgetting the name of the company now, but I'll throw it up on the screen. But this is everything that I wished that that yarn was. This one is, while loosely wound, a little bit tighter to the point where it's not fluffing up all over the place. You're not, accidentally hooking your yarn into the middle like with that one. And while this one does puff out a little bit on the cut edges like that, it's not so severe like that one. This is just, it's just everything I wish that that yarn was. And this yarn is just so beautifully dyed as well. I did look this up, and this is a hand dyed yarn. I think they even called it hand painted. I don't actually know the difference, but it is not a cheap yarn, which, oh my goodness, thank you so much for sending this to me, because it is not a cheap yarn, but oh my goodness, it is gorgeous. The texture is everything. It is so soft and squishy, and this was just a breeze to work with. I love it. I really have nothing bad to say about this yarn. Just so pretty, great texture, everything about it I love. So thank you so much to the person who sent this to me. I do have to say that you guys are being so nice to me so far. I did say in the video where I talked about the concept of this Advent series, and I also put it in my post, that you guys could send me yarn that you think I'll love or yarn that you think I'll hate. And so far, everyone is sending me yarn that I love. So we'll see. I know that there's probably at least a few of you who decided to send me some yarn that I will hate. So we'll get to that. But for now, it's all love. I can't even express how grateful I am about that. So I will see you guys tomorrow for day 4. Okay, guys, it is day 4. And if I have to abruptly stop filming, please forgive me, but there are some people that are supposed to be coming to replace my storm door, and they were supposed to be here like 2 hours ago, and I haven't heard from them. It could possibly be because it snowed today, which it didn't stick hardly at all. The kids are still in school and everything, but it was really pretty this morning. But I wonder if that is what is delaying them, but I have not heard. So I thought we would just go ahead and get started here, and hopefully I can at least get through this clip before they come. So I do have a box here that is labeled with a 3. So there are 3 different types of yarn in here, but I'm just gonna pull out one, or I guess seems like there's 2 here that are the same. That is one thing that I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to spoil myself, but I think these 2 feel the exact same. Let's see. Okay, so they are. These 2 right here are the same, which is Red Heart Chic Sheep. Okay. Is this wool? I mean, it's called sheep, so I would assume so. Anyway, it is in this gorgeous pink color, and there are 2 skeins of this Let me move the camera around and we will take a closer look at this. I did not even know that Red Heart made wool yarn. You learn something new every day. Okay, I am filming this part on my phone just to minimize the amount of times I have to move my camera around. But yes, this is merino wool. Again, I did not know that Red Heart even made this. Oh my goodness, it is so nice and soft and what do I always call it? Squishy. It is so nice. I love this texture. I want to see if I can find more about this here. So it just says 100% wool and it says here merino wool. So this is a 100% merino wool yarn. It is a size 4 medium. The color here is called Fairy Tale. It is this vibrant pink. The color of it reminds me of the yarn that I made that scarf out of in my pink only video, which honestly, this is one of my favorite shades of pink. I love a good like bright pink. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the crocheting. What size hook? It says we need a 5mm. So let me go grab that and we'll get started on the crocheting. Okay guys, here is my square and I am over here with very mixed emotions. On the one hand, I absolutely love this. It is so easy to work with, great texture. I mean, this color, of course, is everything. I love this. So I went to immediately look this up and it's discontinued. How could you do this to me? I'm just kidding. I'm very thankful to have this yarn since it is discontinued and I will love it and cherish it. But I am sad that this is discontinued. And it's no wonder, I guess, that I had never heard of this yarn before because it is no longer in production. I am sad about that because, again, I had no idea that Red Heart even had made this yarn. When we think of Red Heart, of course, we always think of Red Heart Super Saver, but I know that there are a lot of other Red Heart yarns in their line, but this is amazing. I wonder why it was discontinued. I do wonder if it was expensive. So that's what I was trying to see is how much it costs. I was trying to scroll around and I couldn't figure out how much it used to cost. Maybe it was just too expensive and people that are going to buy merino wool just don't think of Red Heart when they think of merino wool like me. So I don't know if that's the reason why, but this is just so nice. My daughter, the one who helped me label all the packages, she is planning on me making her a cat ear beanie. And I wonder if this is one of the yarns that she is going to want me to use because pink is her favorite color and she loves a hot pink like this. So I have no idea, but I do have 2 lovely skeins of this to cherish. I have no idea what I'll end up making with this. But speaking of making things, let me show you what I was working on while I was waiting for the storm door people to get here, which they are still not here. So this is what I was working on in the yarn that I got yesterday, the Knit Picks Muse, I believe it was called. It's looking so good so far. It is going to be a hat, of course. I couldn't resist. I just had to work with it again because I love it so much, which I think what I'm going to do, how I'm going to structure this series is that I'm going to show you on the very last week because that week is only going to include 3 days worth of opening yarn. So I'm going to have a little bit more wiggle room. Of course, Christmas falls in there. I don't know, but I think what I want to do is to show you guys what else I made with these yarns along the way, along this month of opening these new yarns. I think it'd be fun to just kind of show you guys what I end up doing with some of them. But also, I was telling my Discord that I was making granny squares with all of the yarn, but I wasn't really sure what to do with the granny squares. And someone had the brilliant idea to make an advent calendar for next year using the squares as the pockets for each one of the days. And I thought this was a genius idea. And so what I'm going to do is, at the end of this, we'll pick, of course, we will have to pick and choose only 24 of them because I do have more than 24 yarns. But I will maybe crochet a backing or sew it to some felt or something like that. Hang it up on like a little rod. And then next year, of course, I won't be able to use it this year, but next year, I think it would be fun to do an advent calendar for my daughters and put like a little activity in each one of the pouches, like watch a Christmas movie or bake cookies or have hot cocoa or whatever, like have a separate one for each day so they can open it that morning and it'll be something fun to do every day as opposed to a gift. I mean, maybe I'll put like some chocolates in there or something like that too, because a granny square can't hold, you know, all that much in there. And they are also see-through, so you would be able to see it. I don't know. We're workshopping it, but I think that that was a really good idea. So that might be another part of the last video in the series is me putting that together into an advent calendar for next year. And I think that will be not only like a fun practical thing, but also it'll be a pretty way to display all of the granny squares. So thank you so much to the person, you know who you are, who came up with that idea. So I think that is the plan. So I just have to say, you guys are being so nice to me so far. I love every single one of the yarns that you guys have sent so much. And I just have so many ideas that it's actually almost a little bit overwhelming how many projects I want to be able to do. But of course, I'm actually still working on Christmas gifts and the like. So I may not get to make as many things with this yarn as I want to, but trust me, I have so many things I want to make. And of course, I am always accepting your project ideas. If I show you a yarn and you're like, this yarn would be perfect for A, B, or C, let me know. So that is it for day 4, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 5. Okay, you guys, welcome to day 5. I apologize once again if I have to abruptly stop filming. The door people still have not come. Still waiting to hear when that's going to happen. But I figured we would do this one on the couch today. I like filming at my desk because you get the Christmas tree in the background. It's very festive. But it's not as comfortable, and I better make myself comfortable because today we're actually going to be doing day 5 and day 6 because it is Friday right now as I'm filming, and every single Saturday through the month, I realize we have something going on where we're going to be here, there, and everywhere, and I don't want to feel rushed, and so I want to go ahead and just do 5. We'll get through all of that, do the crocheting and everything, and then we'll go ahead and do day 6 today. Which I guess I could have just changed outfits and said it was a different day and you would never know. But I didn't think of that till just now. So anyway, we're going to continue on with the box that we had yesterday. Another thing is I had all planned out how many days I had left under the tree. And I counted that all up and tallied like which days I was going to have to open 1, which days I was going to have to open 2. And I did that without realizing that there was a bunch of boxes in the other room that I was not including in that count. And so I had to do a recount. And that means I think almost every day I'm having to do 2 yarns. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and do 2 today. And then we'll do 2 to represent tomorrow as well. Anyway, so let's go ahead and open the other 2 from this box. Ooh, okay. This is pretty. So this is the mandala watercolor. I've never tried this one before. I've tried a lot of the mandala, the Lion Brand mandala, but this one's called watercolors. That is really pretty. And then the other one is this one right here, which I have never heard of before. It's called Queensland Collection Coastal Cotton Ocean Mist. That is also really, really pretty. Look at that. Gorgeous. So since I'm sitting on my couch, I think I will just insert some footage of some close-ups of this yarn, and I will just read to you all of the details while I'm doing that. So this is a size 5 bulky. This skein comes with 164 yards. It is 75% acrylic, 15% wool, and 10% nylon. It says to use a size 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. And the color I got is Icy Grape. This is interesting because it is, again, like a single ply yarn. I did not know that Lion Brand even made this. I do kind of wonder if this is a discontinued yarn from them. I will have to look that up later, but it would go in the theme of yesterday's yarn being discontinued. So I wonder if they sent me all discontinued yarns. And I didn't see a note in here. It's possible that I missed it, but There you go. That's the first one. So the second one, as I mentioned, is called Queensland Collection Coastal Cotton Ocean Mist. It is pure soft cotton, 100% cotton, and it is quite soft. It is a size 4 medium. It says to use also a size 5.5 to 6.5. So gives you a range there. This color is called Mermaid Beach, and I think it is just so gorgeous. It's like white with speckles of other colors throughout. I think that is quite gorgeous. So let's go ahead and get to the crocheting for both of these, and I'll come back and tell you what I think about them. Okay, you guys, I did finish both of my granny squares here. And I do have a co-host for this clip, although you can only see just a little bit of her right now. But if she chimes in with something to say, I'll let you know. So let's start with talking about the Lion Brand watercolor. So that is what this one looks like. And here's the thing. I love this yarn for the texture, and it was really, really easy to work with. When it comes to these types of yarn, that single ply or roving type style of yarn, I used to not like them at all. When I first tried them, I was like, this is just not the type of yarn for me. It's hard to work with. I just don't really like it. But the more that I have tried, the more I have started to love this yarn. And I mean, I do think that there are some that are better than others, but now this is not the type of yarn I would want to make an amigurumi with. If you can see there, it does sort of fluff out on the end, not the easiest type of yarn to sew with. So not an amigurumi friendly yarn, but I do really like the texture of this. I like how easy it was to work with, like I said. What I don't really like are the colors, which is funny because this yarn is called watercolor. And I talk about all the time how I love a yarn that is dyed in a way where it looks like watercolor. And this one's actually called watercolor, but I don't really love the color that much. Like, can you see, like right here in the middle, I love the way that looks, but I wish that that had been throughout. Instead, the rest of it is just kind of like a few little bits of the purple, but it's mostly kind of this whitish, pinkish color. I think they just could have done a lot more with the colors of this. And in fact, I was correct. This is discontinued. I did look it up on the Lion Brand site, and they have like a landing page for it, even if it's discontinued. And this cost $6, which, you know, is a pretty fair price. But I would assume that this probably got discontinued just because people were disappointed in the colors like I am. I would love to see this brought back, though. I would love to be able to use this type of yarn for like a cardigan or even like a blanket, something like that. It is quite bulky. This is definitely the biggest square we have made so far, and I like that. I mean, I like all different types of sizes of yarn depending on what you're making with it, but I would just like to see this actually look watercolored. I don't know. I'll find a use for the rest of this yarn. Do not get me wrong. I do like it. I just was hoping for a little bit more with the color. So now we have our Queensland cotton there, and oh my goodness, look at her. How fun is this yarn? I really, really like this. And this one actually is still available. Oh, my co-host is leaving me. Goodbye. So this yarn actually still is available. It seems to be one of those types of yarns that you can find in different places. So the price definitely varies, but they have a lot of different really fun colors that all seem to be kind of like this, where it is like a white base and then it is sprinkle dyed with a lot of different colors there. It is so much fun. Now, I'm not really sure if a granny square was the right choice to show off these colors or not. I don't know. It looks a lot better in person. I will say that it looks better in person than it does on camera, but I feel like there's probably another project that this would look better on. And as always, I am taking your suggestions, but I really, really like this yarn. I don't know how you guys keep giving me cotton yarns that don't split. What is this magic? It did not split for me at all. It has a good texture. Now it is cotton, so it's gonna have that cotton texture to it, but I will say that it reminds me probably really of like a the Lily Sugar and Cream, or there's like several names of that yarn, but only the stripy version. If you've watched my video where I tried your worst yarns, I got the stripy version, and that one I liked. But the like solid color ones are super, super stiff and almost impossible to work with. Whereas the stripy ones have a lot better texture. This is definitely like flowier than that. Like if you can see, it's like not keeping its shape quite as much as cotton can sometimes, but I really, really like this. I don't know what to make with this. So definitely accepting your project suggestions, but I really, really like this a lot. So that is that for day 5. And we are going to go ahead and move on to day 6. I actually pulled out a couple of different packages here. So these are from 2 different people, but they each just have one. So let's start with the first one. So actually, fun fact, the one that I'm opening right now is actually the very first Advent yarn that I got in the mail. Okay, so here is the yarn, which is called Delicate DK, and it is so soft. I have not tried this. It is a size 3 light, so DK is a size 3 light. This is the color white. Anything else about this here? What is this made of? So it's 70% acrylic, 30% polyamide, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what polyamide means. But we're gonna find out how this is to work with. But oh my goodness, first impressions are that it is extremely soft. We're gonna go ahead and open up the second one here, which is, ooh, interesting. So this is called Patton's Cotton Colada? Cotton Colada? Is that how you're supposed to say that? Like pina colada, but cotton colada? This is a very, very interesting texture here. I've never tried anything like this before. So this is a 54% viscose, 44% cotton yarn. Like I said, it is Patton's brand. It says that it's approximately DK weight. Interesting. I wonder if it's because it kind of has the different strands, which I will try to show you a close-up of this. It's interesting. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm quite nervous about this one. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get to the crocheting for both of these. Okay, you guys, I did finish my 2 granny squares here, and it has been quite the day, let me tell you. The people did finally come to replace my storm door, and it took much longer than I was expecting. It took them 4 hours, and Lily is so funny because if she is inside the house or inside the fence and someone is outside, she hates them. She hates them on site. She will bark, she will growl, she will freak out. But if she's outside and they're also outside, fair game, totally fine. She loves them. She wants them to pet her. Can someone explain this to me, please? Like, I don't understand. If you're a dog psychologist, please explain this to me so I can better understand her, because she's so friendly when she wants to be, but other times she just can't handle it. I don't understand. Anyway, so we have our 2 squares here, which are very, very different squares. It's really funny that I got these 2 together because this one is just the most straightforward, easy to work with, which we'll get to. And then this one, I've got a lot to say about that one. We're going to start with this one, the Loops and Threads. What was it called? Delicate DK. I love this. This is such an easy to work with. Oh, I haven't weaved in my ends. I'll have to do that later. So this is just truly the most easy to work with yarn that you could think of. It is so soft, like so soft. Loops and Threads is such a hit or miss brand for me. There are some of their yarns that I really like, and then others that are just okay. I have tried one of their more basic weight 4 acrylics. I think it's called Simply Soft is Karen. Something Soft, Classic Soft, something like that. And that one, while it has soft in the name, is really not that soft to me. Maybe it was just a bad batch because other people say they like that yarn. I was just not overly impressed by it. But this one is good. I really, really like this. It is like buttery soft. I know some people don't like that term, but it's just really, really soft. Again, so easy to work with. And I've talked about this before, but I've really been more of like, I would say that weight 4 was my favorite for a lot of my crochet journey. It was also just what I used the most. But now I'm really getting into weight 3, especially for garments and things like that. Now that have I even made an entire garment out of a weight 3 yet? I don't actually know. I feel like I haven't, but I have intentions to, okay? I do have a sweater that I'm planning with all weight 3 yarn, and this will actually go perfectly with it. So I'm really, really excited about that. So thank you so much for sending me this and introducing it to me, because for some reason, it's just one of those yarns I missed on the Michaels website whenever I've looked. So love that. What I don't love is the other yarn. I actually found the note that was included. Let me find it here. In the note that this person left with this, was about to call it a pina colada, cotton colada yarn, it says, I picked this yarn up secondhand last summer. It's discontinued as far as I know. I used a different skein to make a bandana and hated it. Enjoy. So whoever sent this to me, you are on the naughty list. I'm so sorry to tell you, but the person who made this, though, is really the true villain here. Whoever designed this yarn, jail. Right away, prison sentence, locked away for life. Like, what? Who is this for? I don't understand who this yarn is for. Why is this yarn? I don't understand. So essentially, if I can show you this, I may have to end up doing... See what I mean? She's growling at somebody who's just walking by. But if we were outside for a walk, she'd be going up to that person asking them for pets. Make it make sense. Anyway, so if I can show you this, I may have to do another close-up from a different angle so you can see. But what it essentially is a couple of loosely wound together strands of yarn that are different thicknesses throughout. And then they took an embroidery floss strand and wove it around there so incredibly chaotically. Like, some is okay. And then in some places, let me find one where it's like really, really bunched up. Like, can you see right there where it's like all bunched up? What is this yarn? It's hard to work with, of course. That's right off the bat. It's hard to work with. It's not pretty in the end. Like, it looks okay. It looks better on camera, but it's like little bits and bobs everywhere. And then the texture is horrendous. I really hate the texture of this. I said embroidery floss for lack of a better term. I don't actually know what this other strand is, but it's really not the strand itself that is causing like the textural nightmare for me. It's because of those bunched up pieces. Like, you can feel it on there, and it's just, who is this for? Who would enjoy this? If you would enjoy this, I will send it to you. We'll pass it down the chain, because I understand why this ended up in a secondhand store to begin with. I understand why the person who sent this to me offloaded it on me, and I will pass it down the chain. Unless somebody has a brilliant idea of how to work with this type of yarn, I'm at a loss. I have no idea. I have no idea. So the streak of me getting yarns that I liked is over with this one. I've liked every other yarn. This one, I feel like the only redeeming quality is that the color of that embroidery floss strand is really pretty. It's blue and pink and yellow. Really pretty colors. Other than that, I hate it. But at least this person knew that I was going to hate it. And I did say that in all of my messaging. I said, send me yarns you think I'll love and yarns you think I'll hate. So hopefully you enjoyed my faces I was making while I was struggling my way through this. But I finished it. I will say I finished it. I also didn't weave in the end on that side either, but it's made. I made the granny square. So anyway, that was day 5 and 6. So I will see you guys on day 7. Okay, guys, it is day 7, which is the last day for this particular video. And I'm once again going to be doing 2 yarns today. And I found a package that has 2 in here. So let's go ahead and open this up. And they have little bags in here, which is so adorable. So let's open this one first. Ooh, what is this? Oh, it is a furry yarn. Oh boy. It's called Fun Fur, which yet to be determined if this is going to be fun. We'll see. And then the second little bag here. Let's see what's in this one. Okay. This is Piccadilly. Is that how you say this one? It is another quite interesting looking yarn here. Kind of reminding me of the Lion Brand Homespun. Not sure if that's a good thing, but we'll get a closer look at these in a second. But let me make sure I actually look at the note this time. Okay, that note was so sweet. Thank you so much to the person who sent this. So before we get started on the crocheting, I am going to go ahead and take a closer look at these. We'll get all of the details. Okay, here is the first one, which is, like I said, called Lion Brand Fun Fur. It says an easy to use novelty eyelash yarn. And it says used for entire projects for trims or combined with other yarns, which yes, combining this type of yarn with another yarn is always a good choice. But for the purposes of today's video, we'll be using it on its own. And then it says that this is, oh my gosh, that type is so tiny. It's 100% polyester. It has 60 yards in here. What size hook does that say? 6.5. And this is the color Soft Pink. I also wonder if this is a discontinued one from Lion Brand. I will have to look that up in a moment. So the second one is called Piccadilly, which I feel like I've heard of this before, but I've never tried it. This is the color Honeysuckle. What is this made of? 32% wool, 47% acrylic, 15% polyester, and 6% nylon. Does it say what size this is or anything? I don't see anything like that, but it is a very interesting type of yarn. Like I said, it does kind of remind me of the Lion Brand Homespun because it has kind of that wavy texture to it, if you know what I'm saying. So we are going to try both of these out. I don't know how well this is going to go for granny squares. I know these type of yarns aren't really meant for granny squares, but since that's what I'm making everything else in, it feels fitting. But part of me wants to maybe just do these back and forth in rows. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. Okay guys, so I did make both of my squares here. Now they are not granny squares, as you can see. I did attempt to do granny squares, but it didn't go very well. So I found that it was just easier to do some rows here. So let's talk about the Lion Brand Fun Fur first. Can you see how thick and fluffy that is? Oh my goodness. So as I suspected, this yarn is discontinued. I looked it up and this originally cost $4.99. And here's the thing. The person who sent me this yarn and the note that they wrote was just, it was so sweet that I don't want to talk too badly about these yarns. However, just not my favorite. Let's just say that. It's just not my favorite. So here's the thing. I have a love-hate relationship with fur yarns in that sometimes I love them and sometimes I hate them. And there's really a fine line between why I love some and don't love others. This one I would say is very similar to work with in terms of not being able to see your stitches as other fur yarns that I've worked with, like the Catch Fluffy. That one is, you know, you can't see your stitches. That's just part of working with a fluffy yarn. However, I think why I like that one and I don't like this one really comes down to texture. I really love the way something like Catch Fluffy feels because, again, it is just fluffy and nice and the texture in the end feels like a fluffy stuffed animal. Whereas something like this, it's an eyelash yarn. And I do think that this is maybe only the second eyelash yarn I've ever tried. The first one was the Premier one that you can find at the Dollar Tree. And I didn't really like that one either because in the end, it almost feels kind of plasticky. I'm not sure if you can tell just by the way that it looks, that it just has a plasticky feeling to it. I don't know if that is the best way to describe this, but that's what I come down to, is just the feeling of it in the end. It doesn't feel, again, like a really soft plushie. It feels plasticky. I don't really know what other word to use for that. Now, is this the worst yarn that I've ever worked with? No, it's not even the worst yarn that I've worked with in this video. I would rather work with this one over the cotton colada yarn any day, but it's just not my favorite. And here's the thing with a fluffy yarn, I am willing to work with the fluffy yarn, even though it is harder to work with, harder to see your stitches, if it results in a texture that I like. But since this one doesn't result in a texture that I like, it's just not something that I would be reaching for. Let's just say that. But I will say is that this yarn doesn't irritate me in the way that some fluffy yarns can, particularly that one from Loops and Threads. I don't remember the name of it, but that one gave me almost like an allergic reaction because the fluff was coming off so much that it was like getting in my eyes and nose and throat, and it was terrible. It was making me sneeze and cough. This one doesn't do that, but I will say that it does shed. As you can see there, you know, it sheds off quite a bit when you pick at it. There's some sheds here on my desk as well. So, you know, again, not the worst yarn in the whole wide world, but not something that I'm going to be reaching for frequently. I think how I will use up this yarn is one of two ways. Either one is to pair this with another yarn. I think in their note, they said that it would be really cute as like a fluffy bird or something like that. I could see that being cute. Maybe if I paired it alongside a chenille yarn or something like that. And the other option would be just as a little bit of an accent piece on something that I want that fun texture to. But I just don't know that I would be reaching for this for a full project again. So now we need to talk about this one, which I think I said the name of this wrong. I think I just called it Peekadilly. I think the brand is called Unger and then the line is called Peekadilly. Although I'm not really sure because I did try looking this up and I couldn't find this exact yarn anywhere. So your guess is as good as mine. Now, I said in the beginning that this reminded me of the Lion brand Homespun, just based on the way that the strand looks. But I wouldn't really say that it reminds me of that one too much while working with it. I do think that this was actually a little bit easier to work with than the Lion brand Homespun. However, it does kind of have that similar texture in the end. I do think that it looks, by the way, very pretty. I love these colors, but I would say that the texture of it, as I was working with it, I thought this would be perfect if you were making a poodle plushie. If you, for some reason, wanted a rainbow poodle plushie, then if you were to use this as the fluffy parts of the poodle, that would look really cute. So I feel like that's probably the way, again, that I would use up this yarn would be as an accent piece. Because once again, while this one was actually easier to work with than the last one, and definitely easier to work with than the cotton colada one, it again doesn't result in a texture that I absolutely love. It's not egregious by any means, but I just don't love it. I don't know how else to describe it really. But again, I do think that I will be using this up in some sort of accent way because it provides such a cool, fun texture. It's just not something I would, again, like make a whole sweater out of or even like a whole scarf out of or something like that. I would definitely pair this alongside another yarn to add in a fun texture element. Okay, so before I say goodbye, I thought I would show all of our squares together here from our first week. Which one is y'all's favorite? That is a really hard choice because, oh man, I really liked this yarn right here, the Muse yarn. I really like this one too, the cotton, what was it called? Coastland cotton, something like that. I like that one as well. But there's also just so many good ones. So let me know your favorite. And yeah, on to the outro. So that is the end of day 7 and the end of this particular video of week 1 of Advent. I had so much fun opening up all these yarns. Thank you so much to everyone who sent these in. even the ones that I didn't like as much. I think that this experience has been really fun so far. I hope you're having a fun time watching, and I will see you for week 2.